In this assignment, we're going to set up some character animations and stuff when you move around or attack or it's just sitting there and idling. But first thing we're going to do is set up the collisions for the character. I need you to add a plane as well. So let's go ahead and go to our add menu and scale this up so it has a ground to fall on. And we're going to add in a cube. And I want you to scale that cube so that it is roughly the size of the character. Okay, this cube is going to be what controls the player motion. It's got all the physics and stuff on it, and that's what you'll program the motion on. Now the animation is going to be on this right here. These are called bones, and I'll go to wireframe so you can see them. This is the armature that creates motion for the character. So we need to make this move around with our player cube here. So I'm going to select the armature, hold shift, select the cube, and then I'm going to right click, parent, and then object, or you can press Control P and select object. So now when I move this around, it should move around the armature as well. You don't want to do anything with the pug model, because if you move that away, it's going to mess up and the animations won't work. So let's go ahead and set up our programming for the cube. So I'm going to change this to Logic Bricks nodes, and then make sure you click new. And I'm going to do create keyboard. I'll use W and actuator motion. Connect those, and it's going in the negative Y direction. Okay, save that. I'm going to duplicate these with Shift D. Now remember that you have to duplicate the actual node using this. Okay, so click that double paper icon there. Now there are different ones. So this one keyboard, that one's keyboard 001. And now I can set that to S, and we'll set this to negative. So if I push play, looks like I've got those backwards. Negative 0.05 and 0.05. Okay, so our big problem right now is we can see this cube. We don't want to see this cube. So in the physics tab, I'm going to select the cube and set it to invisible. And I also need to set it to dynamic. So when I push play, oh, my character went flying. And that is because it is colliding with the physics of this pug guy. So you can click on that, change his physics to no collision, press play, and then it'll work. So let's take a look at the physics on this cube. That seem to be falling through, so we're going to scroll down, turn on collision bounds to box. There we go. Okay, and we also need to set that box to invisible again. Okay, now we don't want to see that in the view here either. I want to be able to see the character. So I'm going to, with the cube selected, click on the object properties. Here's the orange square. Scroll down to viewport display, and I'm going to change display as to wire or bounds. So now I can see the player and I can still see my cube. All right, so let's go to the animation now. And we do the animation with these selected here. So I'm going to add an action actuator, and this has all of our animations. So we click in here, it has all the animations. Now, right here it says start frame, end frame. Now, we don't know how long that animation is, so we got to go find that out. So we're going to click on animation at the top of the window here. And I'm going to change this where it says dope sheet. I'm going to change that to action editor. And here we can see all the animations. So I'll set that to walk. And it goes from frame 0 to frame 30 and then repeats. Okay, so I'm going to go back to my animation. I'm going to do frame 0 and then frame 30. So if I push play now, well, it's not going to do anything because I didn't connect it. So we need to connect the and controller into that animation on the armature. So now when I press play, so it'll play it once though every time I push the button. So we don't want that. We want it to loop. And we're going to do loop stop. So whenever I push play or whenever I move forward, it's going to stop wherever I'm at. Now we'll fix this so that it doesn't just hover. Now let's do the same thing but going the other way. So I'm going to duplicate this node. Let's move it down here and connect this into the AND controller. But before we do that, we need to make this an actual duplicate. Okay. I'm going to connect those. Now to make animation play backwards, you're going to go from frame 30 to 0. So now if I push that one and then going back that way. Okay, but we have a problem where it'll snap. Okay, so we're going to do blending. They forgot the G, so it's blending. So blending the animation. I'm going to do 5 frames. How many frames it will blend over. So let's go to this one. We'll also set that to 5. So if I press P and then I go back, you'll see that there's some actual blending of the animation. Okay. Next, let's talk about idle animation because we got to think about some logic here. So we want to do when I'm not pressing anything, I want the character to do the idle animation. Let's first find out how long the idle animation is. So it's 100 frames, so 0 to 100. So remember that. And I'm going to do a keyboard sensor. Now we have the option of all keys. So anytime we press a button, any button, it'll do it. But we want it so when I'm not pushing a button, it does this animation. So there's right here, invert. So we're going to click on that. So that's instead of all keys, it's when all keys are not pressed, it'll do this sensor. And then let's add our actuator and connect this. And we'll set this to loop stop, set it to idle. And then remember it was 0 to 100. And then we'll also blend it with 5 frames. So if I push play, it's not doing the animation it'll stop. Oh no, it is doing it. Okay, so if we want to connect it to an always to make sure that, because at the beginning of the game, it's not playing because I haven't pressed anything, but when I go back to it, it will. So we're just going to do an always sensor and connect that into this same AND. So as long as I'm not pressing anything, that always will work. So press play and you can see the animation is working. And then I move and then it'll blend back to that when I stop moving. Okay, you'll do the last animation on your own. And I just want to show you something for motion as well. So let's make this dog turn. I'll do D and actuators, we'll do motion. Okay, and I'm going to do a rotation on the Z axis. Let's try like 3 degrees and we'll set that to global by turning off the L. So when I press P, oh, that's the wrong way. We want it to go the other way. So -3. So that's definitely too much. Let's try something like, we'll try 0.05. Oh, that's really slow. Okay, let's try negative point. Oh, that's why we go 0.5. Negative 0.5. Let's try that. And we also want, the other reason it's not working is because the forward motion, oh no, it should be working. Forward motion is set to local. Okay, let's try changing that rotation some more. Let's try -1. And it's still going forward. Oh, this is why. Okay, you got to be careful of that. So I'm going to delete that. And I need to be on the cube for the motion. I was rotating the character, but not the cube. Should have known. So let's try a -1. There we go. Now we could duplicate this. Don't forget to click this. There we go. Oh, well, we need to set that to A. There we go. And our player can turn.